Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
In this episode of Voices of a Killer, we dive into the untold side of Casey White's story. Details that the Netflix documentary Jailbreak, Love on the Run didn't reveal. Today, Casey is here to share the truth behind the headlines, the sensational social media coverage, and brings new light on the focus of the documentary, his escape from prison and relationship with Vicky White. As you listen, you'll hear about the events leading to that fateful escape. With first-hand accounts and raw reflections, Casey's voice adds a new layer to a story the public thought they already knew. Get ready for revelations about Casey's story, contradictions with the Netflix documentary, and most of all, Casey White's truth, right now on Voices of a Killer.
So Casey White, I just watched your Netflix the other day. Have you actually seen the Netflix on your whole situation?
No, I ain't seen the whole Netflix thing right yet.
Do you have access to a TV to kind of see commercials and news about it?
Yeah, we got access to the TV.
Yeah. So you're probably pretty well known around the prison, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty famous around the prison.
Yeah. I just kind of want to go back. Are you born and raised in Alabama?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Athens, Alabama.
Okay. What was your childhood like? Did you have like abuse in your childhood or growing up rough or what?
No, I had a good childhood. I had a good loving mother, separated, but I got visitation with my dad. My mom raised me and my grandparents. I had a good childhood. I know right from wrong. I just ended up letting drugs and alcohol get me off in other direction.
So do you still have a relationship with your parents?
Yeah, I still got a relationship with my parents. I'm my mother's only son, and she loves me with all the world. I love her with all my world.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you sound like you had a good connection with your family. It's not like you were some terrible childhood, but you do throw in drugs, which I'll tell you right now, everybody I talk to that's in your situation, it's either drugs or abuse growing up, and yours is drugs. When did you get into it?
Probably when I was around 17, 18, whenever I got into drinking pretty heavy and stuff, and then just veered off into smoking marijuana, and one thing led to another.
How was school growing up? Did you do well in school?
Yeah, I was all right in school. I didn't make the best grades, but I was popular with all the other students, and everybody liked me, and I done okay,
There's something that really stands out about you is that your height. How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm about 6'9", 6'8", 6'9". Yeah.
That's really, really tall.
Yeah, I'm a whole lot taller than everybody else.
So that probably also made you like would you say you were kind of the tall, big, friendly guy?
Yeah.
Or were you mean?
No, I was a friendly guy. I was a tall, friendly guy.
Yeah.
Until I had too many to drink.
Sure. So did you play basketball?
Yeah, I played basketball and football in school.
It seems like you might have had a future with being 6 foot, 8 or 9. That's really, really tall.
Yeah, if I'd have listened to my parents and stuff, I would have. I probably would never been here. But you never can.
Yeah.
See the future. You see the future.
So you say that alcohol kind of changed you when you drink. What would you do?
Yeah, it just made me into a different person whenever I got to drinking and stuff. It just turned me into a Superman right there. And I was already big. A lot of people was already skittish of me, and it just made me that much worse. Really? Did you get in any kind of assault charges at a young age? No, I didn't have no assault until I was like 27, 28 years old. Yeah. Do you have any kids? Yeah, I got 2 kids. I got a 23-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son. Do you have a relationship with them? Yeah, I got to see my son. I just got out of lockup from the escape. I got out of lockup back in July. And I got my visits back, and I got to see my son and my mother. First time I got to see them in about 5 years and hug them. Yeah. So you get into alcohol. Obviously, you're a pretty imposing figure, and you said it changed into a different person. Did you have relationships along this time, and you had trouble because of that, the alcohol in the relationships? Yeah. It's caused me problems and stuff my whole life. From relationships to my family to coming into the system and everything else has played a big role in my life.
Yeah. What kind of work did you do on the streets?
I've done construction work. I hung a drywall, sheetrock. I hung and finished it.
That was probably easy for you to hang some drywall on the ceiling, right?
Yeah. They love me pretty much.
Yeah. So you ever tried to go to rehab or fix a situation? Because you probably knew that this was right for you to drink and do drugs.
Yeah, I went to rehab one time back in 2008. It was right after my fiance committed suicide right there in front of me, and I was having a real hard time. And
wait, we're not talking about Vicky White, right?
No, we were talking about a Christy, girl that was back in 2008, January 31st, 2008. She took her life in my house.
So you've literally had two girlfriends take their life in front of you.
Yep.
Before this interview even starts, the shadow of Casey White's reputation looms large. Known for his towering 6'9" frame and a past riddled with trouble, Casey's story is one marked by trauma and destructive choices. While he describes his childhood as stable and loving, raised by a devoted mother and supported by his grandparents, Casey's life took a dark turn in his late teens when alcohol and drugs began to consume him. This path of substance-fueled chaos ultimately distanced him from opportunities, strained family relationships, and led to an explosive life of crime. A pivotal moment in Casey's story was the devastating suicide of his fiancée, Christy, in 2008, an incident that unraveled him and further pushed him down a destructive path. As he reveals, this was just one of the haunting losses he would face, with the heartbreak compounding over years in ways that would forever alter his sense of self and stability. This is new information not covered in the Netflix documentary. As I spoke to Casey, I found that the more I listened to him, the more I realized how he wanted to open up about the suffering that wasn't portrayed in the documentary. It made me think, was this just the tip of the iceberg for new information? Was this event a horrific precursor to what would happen later down the line? How did Casey react to such a personal tragedy?
So tell me about the first one. Is that the mother of your children?
No, she was just a girlfriend, but it took me down through the after she done that. I blame myself a lot, even though I didn't pull the trigger physically. She's still a married woman who was in the middle of a divorce.
Yeah.
And we got caught up in there, and we was both on pills, we was both strung out. One thing led to another, and it was just a real bad situation. The HR got involved, took the kids. She went crazy, and she shot herself that night with my sawed-off shotgun. And
wow.
I blame myself. I went down through there. That's why I went to prison for my first time.
So that basically had effect on you?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you get in trouble for her killing herself in any kind of way?
No, I called 911 as soon as she done it. Told them what happened. And I lived way out in the country, about 30 minutes from town, and I seen ambulances come by, fire trucks come by, and I was chasing them down my little country road on barefoot out in my boxers. Nobody wouldn't stop and help me until Mike Blakely got there. He was Limestone County Sheriff for 38 years. And me and him, we was on a pretty good basis, on a first-name basis. He knew me pretty well. He come back out and he said, "Where's she at, son?" I said, "She's in the bedroom." He come back and he said, "What, she's dead?" I'm like, "I already know." I hit his cowboy boots and cried like a baby for about 10 minutes. He took me up there to the jail and done all the forensic files and shit, make sure I didn't do it. It was downhill from then on out. It changed my life right there,
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Did they try to kind of go through the motions of maybe charging you?
No, they knew it was a suicide. They went ahead and ruled it a suicide.
The sawed-off shotgun, that is a freaking mess. I just have to ask, did she put it in her mouth or what?
Oh, no, she shot herself in the chest.
Oh, my gosh.
I went downhill after that. And it was about 15 months later. My half-brother, he was up at the house. He started in one I shot her and stuff, and me and him had a fight, and that was my first prison time. That was the first time I ever went in prison. I got 20 months for a second-degree assault on him. So he actually thought you were responsible for her death? He knew I didn't. He was just drunk and talking crap. Yeah. And him ended up getting in a bad fight. That's got to be a terrible scene, though, walking. Did you watch her do it, or did you just hear the bang and go in there? But I seen her do it whenever she wanted me to warm her up some Chinese food, and whenever I warmed her up some Chinese food and come back around the corner, I seen her on her knees in the bedroom. And I hollered at her, and that's when she pulled the trigger.
God dang.
Yeah, it was messed up.
Did it,
She was married, and I knowed her all my life, and I was real good friends.
I mean, do you think, was she that much in distress?
Yeah, I reckon.
I mean, I know that's kind of maybe a stupid question, but
we were shooting up Oxycontin and taking a bunch of Xanax and stuff, and been strung out on pills.
yeah.
Had 2 or 3 different doctors and getting all sorts of them, and she just didn't want to straighten up for 30 days, I don't guess.
Was that in the late 90s?
Oh, no, that was on January 31st, 2008.
Okay, so that was probably about whenever it was really starting to, the end of all the Oxycontins and all that stuff.
I was hard to get then.
Yeah, they were starting to change. So that's a big deal. Like, you really had this big stressor in your life, it sounds like, besides all the alcohol. I mean, seeing somebody that killed themselves, much less somebody that, you care about, that's a big deal. So do you feel like that completely changed you after that?
Yeah, I do. Because I went to rehab. I went to counseling. I tried several different things, but I always blame myself right there. Because I knew she was a married woman, and I knew she was trying to get a divorce and get out of it, but she was in an abusive relationship and stuff, and I got caught right up in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with them watching the after effects of it.
Did her husband kind of come down on you?
No, nobody really never said nothing. Her family, there was a lot of folks blamed me and said I'd done it and all sorts of crap. But at the end of the day, Mike Blakely, which was a sheriff for 38 years, and if anybody's a sheriff for 38 years and a state trooper for 12 years, he said I can go in and I can rule out a homicide or a suicide and I say a crime scene. He said they're going to blame you, Casey, because of your reputation.
Sure.
And you getting drunk and wild. And he said they're going to blame you, son, but don't let them take you down through there. You know right from wrong. You know you didn't do it. And I ended up getting in 2 or 3 bad fights and sending 2 or 3 people to the hospital, and he sent me to prison. He said, I told you not to damn listen to him. I told you to make up your own mind. He said, if you get out, he said, you're getting a slap on the wrist now. He said, if you get out and you cause another violent crime, he said, I'm going to put you away for a long time. And then I got out, and I went out about 1.5 years, 2 years, and I caught my 75 years of limestone.
Casey White's relationship with former Limestone County Sheriff Mike Blakely played a pivotal role in his life, shaping his understanding of law enforcement and trust even in the midst of a life riddled with turmoil. From a young age, Casey had crossed paths with Blakely, who knew him as both a troubled local and later as a man in crisis. Unlike the detached, by-the-book authority figure we see in the Netflix documentary, Casey's version paints Blakely as something of a father figure, a mentor who met him with compassion during one of his most harrowing life moments. When Casey's girlfriend tragically took her life in his home, Blakely was the first on the scene. Casey describes the sheriff as a rock during those dark hours, allowing him to break down, comforting him, and assuring him that the truth of what happened would emerge despite public suspicion and accusations swirling around him. Yet, as we sit down with Casey today, one thing is clear. There are still parts of his story he feels were left out, pieces he believes only he can share. What is this truth Casey's been holding back? And could it change the way we see the events that played out so infamously in the Netflix documentary?
So the next charge was you shooting a girlfriend, right?
I shot her house up. I didn't shoot her. I shot her house up.
Oh, okay. So glad for the clarification. So you get out, obviously you're changed now because of what happened, and I guess you get into another relationship, which is the one that you shot up her house. How did you get into a relationship with her? Where did y'all meet?
We met through one of my ex-girlfriends. We met, and I had some money saved up and stuff, and she was fell on hard times. Her and her kids moved in with me, and after a few months, all the money was gone, and she was up and gone. And then me and her was back and forth. And
basically a rocky relationship.
Yeah, and I went to where she was staying at. She left and went to the motel with me. The next night I come over there, and her roommates go to tripping and pull a shotgun out on me and trying to shoot me and shit. So I come back the next night, and that's when I shoot the house up. Wow.
So that's a pretty big deal. Where I mean, there could have been kids in there, you know what I mean? You didn't think about that?
Yeah, it could have been. It was kids. I was in the basement,
Yeah, I guess that's about how pissed off you were. You didn't really care.
Yeah.
What did you shoot the house up with? What kind of gun?
It was a 9mm Beretta and a 40 caliber Glock.
How many rounds did you think you shot up?
As soon as I come in the door, she was propped up against the wall within the bedroom. I pumped about 8 to 9 rounds above her head.
So you didn't shoot up the house. You actually went in and like scared the shit out of them.
Yeah, I busted through the front door on.
They were probably flipped out over that. A 6'9" guy pointing a gun, shooting at them.
Yeah. I popped a few rounds above her head right there, and she took off running and went into the bedroom. She was looking in, and it was 2 gay guys laying in the bed. And I'm like, who's she screwing? Who's she messing around with? There's like, nobody. We're gay. I was coming running out of the door. When I did, I heard a dog come running and barking and going crazy, growling and shit at me. I shot through the door. It hit the dog and killed the dog.
Wow.
And then I come outside and I ran through the woods. I backed a guy up in his house right there. He took me his car keys. I stole his car. I also stole a 9mm pistol out of his door neighbor's car seat.
Whenever you carjacked this guy, did you rough him up, or you just scared the shit out of him and took his stuff?
I just upped the guns on, went back to him in his house, and he told me the car keys outside, and I took his car.
Yeah.
He never got touched. Nobody got a finger laid on him.
Yeah.
And I took off on a high-speed chase. I entered Tennessee. I'm not going to talk about my Tennessee charges. I caught charges up there, but I come back into Alabama. So in Alabama, nobody got a finger laid on them. Nobody went to a hospital. Nobody had one hair on their head hurt. They got the shit scared out of them.
Yeah.
But that is it. And I got 75 years for that.
That's
I got 75 rounds for 6 or 7, 8 bullets and some sheetrock. And
yeah.
that's 2 guys who she's screwing. They got me 75 years and for stealing a guy's car. So they got me on breaking and entering, home invasion. But they charged me with attempted murder and 2 first-degree kidnappings. Now, the reason they charged me with attempted murder, I had a hired lawyer, and he said, this is where we're going to get you off at, son, because the sheriff, Mike Blakely, who was supposed to be my friend, because I was trustee for over 3 years, I know him all these years, he know my grandparents all these years, and if I was such a monster, he still let me go out to my grandparents every Sunday and eat dinner with them, with an armed deputy. He said, Casey, you do anything stupid, I'm going to tell the deputy, go ahead and kill you, and I'll take care of the rest of it when I get there. He said, do you believe me? I said, yes, sir, I do. He let me go to my grandparents because they was on the deathbed and eat dinners with them on Sundays for 2 hours. When you were
supposed to be locked up?
Yeah, I was only trustee. I was trustee, and it's only 14 trustees.
Yeah.
Blakely said I'm one of the best when I'm sober.
Blakely's advice stayed with Casey, though his life continued down a violent path. The sheriff had warned him that another misstep could lead to a lengthy sentence, and Casey himself recognized that his reputation for drinking and aggression had cemented a particular image in the public's mind. The documentary hints at Casey's infamous past, but Casey's own words reveal a deeper connection with Blakely, one built on more than mere law enforcement encounters. Blakely, who served as sheriff for nearly 4 decades, had seen it all and tried to guide Casey, but in the end, even his influence couldn't steer Casey away from the path that ultimately led to his 75-year sentence. This case is pivotal in the plot point of Casey's entanglement in the focus of the Netflix documentary. Casey lands up in prison on a punitive sentence, feeling hopeless and distraught as if he has just ended his own life. But what we'll hear next will shake the foundation of the Netflix documentary and allow Casey to tell the truth about what really brought him to the prison where Vicky White was.
So I take it that you think the 75 years is extremely unfair?
Yes, because I've seen these damn bullshit DAs and these bullshit lawyers and judges going out. A friend that was 70 years old that was a vegetable got killed, got hit in the back of the head 7 times with a hammer for 15 pain pills. You know what they got the boy for a plea deal? 20-year sentence. I think a boy killed his grandmother, beat her in the head with a hammer also. 20-year sentence. A plea deal. Killed a boy over $30, shot him 2 times on top of the head over a 1/4 ounce of pot. 20 years. I shoot a fucking dog and scare somebody and shoot some sheetrock and I get the rest of my life because I took it to trial. It ain't nothing fair about the system. I don't know if you're part of the system. I don't know if you're part of the system or for the crooks. And right now I'm just going off. I want the whole world to hear it.
Yeah.
Because it's on a bullshit case, because I stabbed an OG down here. I stabbed 2 people at Dawson prison. I stabbed an OG that been in prison for 30 years, and I stabbed another one. They turned around and clutched me out, stabbed me 6 times in the back, 3 in the arm, dislocated my shoulder. They threw me in lockup. I've never been in lockup. 2 days later, I confessed to a capital murder case. That's a cold case of Connie Ridgeway. I get to Lauderdale County Jail because I know Vicky White's running that jail. I know she's second in command in that jail, and I know she knows that I'm not full of shit, and she's going to believe me. And she knows I'm telling her the fucking truth. I go there and I tell her every fucking thing that I fucking got going on down here at this fucking prison and what I'm scared to death because I'm fixing to die. Nobody's ever going to know the truth. My lawyers come up. She goes to Judge Medley. Judge Medley said Casey White stepped off in a big pile of shit when he confessed to that.
So let's back up a little bit. Do you think your life was in danger at this other prison because the guards were letting you get killed?
I don't know if it was necessarily that or not, but I know at the time I just stabbed 2 people that I should not have done that.
Why'd you stab them?
Just a bunch of prison stuff that went on.
Yeah. What year was this?
This is in 2020.
So this is well before you met Vicky, right? You had gotten into some shit, and
but I already know Vicky.
Yeah,
I already know her from years previous from my brother's party. Huh?
You had confessed to killing someone.
Yeah.
So who was this victim?
Yeah, it was somebody that was on it was a cold case, and it was the whole escape route that I had going on just to get some attention right there. And the whole reason I was so pissed off, because they know that I didn't do it.
So wait a second. I'm confused, Casey. I just want to make sure I got this right. Did you kill this person?
No.
So you just told them that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was interviewed at the time. I was interviewed from Limestone County Jail. My DNA was took from Limestone County Jail. I was cleared from Limestone County Jail.
Yeah.
But then after all this happened, I went ahead and confessed. But me and the DA, they're so perfect in this lovely world of the system we got. He was actually going to put me on death row for something he knowed I did not do. I physically didn't do this, but I physically wrote a letter that said I did. So
the purpose of you confessing was to get out of your situation that you were in?
Yes, because I thought I was going to be killed right here. Nothing ever been said about it.
That's pretty serious. I mean, that's when you know you really think. I mean, and you already been stabbed.
That's what I want to show the whole world. That's what the whole world missed, because they fucking screwed me over and fucked me royally. Because my whole law team, I had a $500,000 law team. They said, the biggest thing, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They didn't do shit except for right along with the crooked ass system that's got the badges. The biggest gang in the world, the whole justice system, cops, judges, and lawyers, they got the badges and the power to do what they want to do.
Sure.
They're going to kill a man that they know was completely innocent.
Well, I actually agree with you on that one. I think they do have a lot of power, and they can misuse that quite often. Did they actually figure out and charge you, and you went and got charged for this murder and everything?
Yes. Before I got sent to Lauderdale County facility, or detention facility, they sent me there on this questioning and stuff, I guess.
Oh.
And then our grand jury indicted me on it.
So are you actually waiting for trial right now for that murder?
No, because I brought Vicky White, my special weapon, my secret special weapon, Vicky White, the second command over that crooked-ass county and that crooked-ass jail. She brought the whole thing to light, and they dropped the whole fucking charge.
Really? So how did she help you get the charges dropped?
Because we're putting national attention on it when we fucking escape. Because she wasn't going to let them fucking kill me and put me on death row for something that she know for facts I didn't do. All you got to do is look at the Connie Ridgeway's motion of discovery, and you can figure out the top 3 suspects in about 10 minutes. Anybody that's got any common sense. And I figured it out. And I talked to my lawyers. And I told my lawyers to do one more thing. They would have proved my innocence, and they didn't do it. That's how I know they was fucking crooks too, and they own it with them. So how did you? I'm still kind of a little bit confused on. Do you still have the charges? Where were they dropped? No, it was dropped. When? The capital was dropped, and I plead guilty on a life sentence for the escape. No. I knew that. I'm talking about the murder, the cold case. When did that get dropped? It was completely dropped. It was before. It was last August. So it was after the escape? Yeah. Okay. And that's how I knew the whole thing. My lawyers, we got back, and the escape was a fucking fresh, hot off the press, a month old. they want to carry on with that charge first. They want to carry that in front of the judge first instead of Connie Ridgway's capital murder case that they've been preparing for. And then I couldn't even get a change of venue. They moved me to another county, and they already made a movie about me and Vicky escaping, and I still can't get a change of venue. And then my lawyers come to me with one of the worst fucking plea deals it is. I got charged with an escape. That's a Class B felony, 2 to 20 years, and my fucking lawyer's a $500,000 law team under Mark McDaniels and Robert Tooth come to me with a fucking shitty-ass deal they got. Sign a life sentence because of your priors is enhanced. Go ahead and sign a life sentence on something that carries 20 years. Go ahead and sign a life sentence. The fat son of a bitch never seen me but 3 times. How you going to prepare for it and escape this national attention in a capital murder trial, and you ain't seen your client but 3 times, but you're going to charge them $500,000. You want 70% of Netflix, right? And 70% of the books, right? You can't do nothing else. I know they're crooks, but nobody's going to listen to me because I'm sitting down here and I'm charged and found guilty on something.
Yeah.
But I know the system. But just like I try to tell everybody, when I know that they're lying and they're covering up and they're turning a blind eye to the system, hey, just know in your heart that I already know what your heart is thinking.
Yeah.
The only mistake I made was saying that I'd done it. My lawyers was in on it because it was court appointed. They was in on it. I told them one thing that would have cleared me all the way out. I said, a man that knows the 100% truth is on his deathbed. Please go right now and take his confession and record him on that confession, and he'll clear my whole name. I said, y'all got about 2 or 3 days to get up yonder and do it.
Who's
my
that?
lawyers did not fucking do it. Fucking 6 days later, he's dead.
Who's on their deathbed?
He was my uncle. He was my uncle, Bobby Nash. Because my other lawyer, Stacey Hooper, said this is a real easy, open and shut case on Connie Ridgway's capital murder case. All we need is your aunt to say you never come in that house and you never took a shower and you never left out with no garbage bag in your hand, and it's a shut case. And she said, but she's dead because she committed suicide in 2017. So I said, the next best thing is her common law husband that slept in that living room for 20 years. He'll tell you, I never come in that trailer that morning. And I told him, I said, he's on his deathbed. Y'all get up there right now and get his confession.
Okay.
And they didn't do it. And they didn't do it. And 9 days later, he died. And that's when I said, I know y'all sold me out too. I know the whole county's against me.
Yeah, I understand, like, when people are, especially small town, because it's not a very big town where you're at, right?
No, it's not.
If they have somebody that's, like causing trouble and stuff. If you're already a felon and you're doing something, they're going to lay it on you even, thicker than it should be, is usually the case.
Exactly. And that's all it would take for a jury. That's all it would have took for a jury. He's already got 75 years. He was in prison, and he wanted to get his conscience clear and confess to Connie Ridgway. No, that was the only thing I know about that could fucking help me save my own life. And I tried to fucking come to somebody like Keith Moss, an Alabama Bureau of Investigation. He's top of the top. The man was in the Navy. The man's top of the top. The man, if I can't trust him, who the fuck can I trust?
Yeah.
He turned the whole thing around just to damn for his own career. Because the man in his heart, I know with all my heart, he knows I did not do it. Because I've got a memory like an elephant. His exact words was when he came to Limestone County Hill, Casey, I know you did not do this. It's your reputation. Go ahead and take this DNA test for me, and it'll clear you all the way up. I said, yes, sir, I will. I took it. My boyfriend said, thank you. I never heard another word from them until 5 years later when I confessed. And then all of a sudden they're gun-ho that I'd done it. How did I do it? If my DNA clears me. That's what I know whenever I wrote the confession. I said, they'll never find me guilty because I did not do it.
But they dropped the charges, right?
Yes.
They dropped the charges, so now you're safe with that, right? They can't, it's still a cold case, but they did drop the charges.
Correct.
Connie Ridgway was a well-loved, compassionate woman, always there to help her neighbors and friends. In October 2015, she was found brutally stabbed in her own living room, a crime so shocking that it rattled her quiet hometown of Rogersville to its core. For years, her murder remained unsolved, casting a shadow over those who loved her and leaving her family searching for answers. Years later, in 2020, Casey White confessed to the murder, claiming that he'd been paid to kill Ridgway. But his reasons for confessing, according to him, were anything but straightforward. By his account, Casey was desperately trying to escape the violence and chaos of Donaldson Correctional Facility. where he says he was repeatedly stabbed and feared for his life. He claims his confession was a calculated move, a way to get transferred back to Lauderdale County Jail, where he knew Vicky White, the assistant director of corrections, would listen to him and believe his story. Casey insists he never actually committed the murder, even though his confession led to a capital murder charge, pushing him closer to a potential death sentence. This is where Casey's account veers into revelations that the Netflix documentary never explored, an entirely new layer to his story, one that shakes the foundation of his narrative. Casey claims he had physical evidence and testimonies that could have cleared him, evidence his legal team failed to gather before his primary witness, his uncle, passed away. He alleges that his confession was his only option in a system that he believes betrayed him at every turn. To Casey, his desperate move to confess wasn't an admission of guilt, but rather a survival tactic in a prison world that had already turned its back on him. This twist isn't just another detail, it's earth-shattering. It raises the question, is Casey White a man forced by circumstance, or is this part of a deeper manipulation? His claims about corruption, about witnesses who could have cleared him, and about the system that seemingly closed in around him were entirely absent from the documentary. The Netflix portrayal missed what Casey sees as the real story, a revelation that could completely change the way his case and his confession are understood.
Whenever you told them that you had committed this murder about the cold case, that got you shifted over to where Vicky is, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, here's what I want to know is, whenever you got sent to the same location as Vicky,
Lauderdale County Detention Center.
That's right, Lauderdale County. So when you arrived there, you'd already knew her, right?
Yeah, I already knew her from 20 years previous before she ever caught.
And a lot of times, I know the way the system works is, they're not supposed to really fraternize with you. Did she actually say like, "Hey, how's it going? And are you back in prison again, huh?" Or what was the discussion when y'all first saw each other?
Nah, she didn't do nothing. She treated me like a normal inmate, normal person.
Yep.
I refreshed her memory who I was, told her who my brother was, and my brother, he went missing in 2017, and we just now found his remains just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I talked about him and the murder case he come and gone, and I talked about him, talking about all the stuff I had going on in prison.
You said you knew her before you got to this detention center. Did you know her on a personal level, like you hung out with her or anything?
I just met her 2 or 3 times, and I met her at my brother's house 2 or 3 times.
So basically an acquaintance?
Yeah, and I knew her ex-husband. I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And my brother real well and stuff.
So let me figure out, I want to find out how accurate Netflix is, because they said the turning point for you and her to kind of like go from casual talking to actual something a little bit deeper was you had made a comment about her ass being nice or something like that. And then she kind of like right there, it was kind of a turn of events. Do you think that it's accurate?
Yeah, that's kind of accurate right there. I told her that, and I wrote her a letter off. You
wrote her a letter? How'd you get the letter to her?
I just handed it to her when I was coming down the hall. It had a window where you could see everything that was going on. I just hit on the window there and stopped her and handed it to her and told her to read it whenever she had time. Just told her that I liked her and I thanked her for being nice and taking everything into consideration, and that she was pretty and that I wasn't playing no games with her, and I liked her right there and was needing somebody to didn't trust.
That was you. So you think that letter was kind of the thrust into, hey, this is how I feel about you, and she, you laid it all out in the letter?
Yeah.
So I there's also a lot of discussion out there and of course the people that work in the system, they're always going to default to, the inmate is wrong and, nothing good about the inmate side. But they were, when in these interviews, they talk to people, especially in the system, and they are like, I'm sure that Vicky was in love, but I doubt that Casey was. Well, how do you respond to that?
They'll never know how it is until they go and lose all their family, or lose all their friends, lose all their freedom, and get locked in a cell all day. And then after 6 years, you have somebody that believes you, somebody that trusts you, somebody that's got some love and affection that actually cares about you. and somebody that cares what you got to say instead of you're an inmate and you're not a member of society no more, so we got nothing to do with you. She took that.
So you kind of fell in love with her compassion.
Yeah, just like everybody else did. Just like the judge said, the world was cloned with Vicky White, it'd be a better place. I know Vicky White. Vicky White was an outlaw. Vicky White busted 5 pounds of pot in a wash tub 20 years ago before she got a job working as a cop. And I know this. I know she was straight, and I know she was solid, and I know she was good to go.
Yeah.
And I know she had a heart full of gold. And I told her exactly what they'd done. I told her exactly what I'd done. And I told her the whole truth.
Yeah.
And she said, I've been here 17 years. She said, right's right and wrong's wrong. And she said that shit's wrong. She said, I ain't going to let them do it to you.
Yeah.
And that's when me and her started planning our fucking escape. She took care of the weak. She took care of the mental health. She took care of the ones that was afraid, the ones that get beat up. She'd separate them. She'd run to jail. Everybody loved her. And just like she said, right's right and wrong's wrong. And she said, what they're doing is nothing.
How long were you there from the time that you get sent to that facility to the time that you escape? How long was it?
I was there the first time for about 4 or 5 months. They shipped me back to prison, bought me a cell phone, and Vicky White. We talked FaceTime every night. And
so before you got sent back, you were there 4 or 5 months, you developed the relationship and then got sent off?
Yes, and then I got sent back here. And then me and her continued to talk on the phone stuff. And
so right now you're in the same facility as the one that you escaped from?
No, I escaped from Lauderdale County Jail. I'm back at W.E. Donaldson Correctional Facility now.
Right.
Yes, then I come back here to state prison, and I stay here for another 4, 5, 6 months, and then I go back there for court to see my lawyers. And go
to Lauderdale County?
Correct.
Okay. So whenever you're sent back to prison, though, you had a cell phone and you're keeping in contact with her?
Correct.
And were y'all talking about escape then?
Well, it really didn't come up until they said it don't matter what he does. He's in a big pile of shit. It don't matter what he does. And whenever Vicky White heard my private investigator, my lawyer, and the DA is going over it with him. So somebody asked, they said, what about, who's your next case? And they said, it's Casey White. They said, well, how did that turn out for him? They said, it ain't turned out good for him. And Vicky overheard all of it because she's a courtroom officer, and she overheard all of it. And that's whenever she then took off. So
let me ask you this. Do you feel like the escape was not just about you guys being able to run off together, but her saving you?
Yes, completely. That's the whole thing. We was bringing national attention to the whole corruption of Lauderdale County courtroom. Does that not throw a bombshell at you and say it's going to kill an innocent man just to cover up a cold case? Do they think a woman that was there that got Employee of the Year 6 times Employee of the Year, worked 17 years there, do they think she just fucking walked in and seen me and said, man, that's a good looking man, I'm going to fall in love and break him out of jail today?
Right.
Or he's just so slick that he's going to tell me I'm pretty and I'm just going to fall in love and give up everything I got, sell my house and everything I got and break him out of jail and take off on the run with him. If anybody with any common sense, now Chris Conley's got plenty of good common sense. He got on the news the third day and he said, I trusted Vicky White with my life. She exploited my trust. No, you still better thank her because I had a whole other plan for your dumb ass because you was going to kill me for something that you know that I was innocent on. And you're going to kill me with a badge and the authority to do it. And nobody never said nothing. But if I do it to you, the whole world's going to know.
Chris Connolly, the long-standing district attorney of Lauderdale County, is well known for his strong prosecutorial stance and decades of service. His reputation as a pillar in the local justice system contrasts sharply with the perception Casey White presents. For Casey, Connolly symbolizes an unyielding system, one willing to ignore his claims of innocence and what he believes to be systemic corruption. According to Casey, this relentless drive to convict played a major role in his decision to make a desperate escape, one he asserts Vicky White enabled, not for love alone, but as an act of salvation. Casey recalls his first encounter with Vicky at Lauderdale County Detention Center, where he recognized her from 2 decades earlier. Although their initial interactions were brief, Casey claims he quickly found comfort in her compassion, and her dedication toward the right inmates drew him in. He describes how she became increasingly supportive, especially as she witnessed what she perceived as systemic failings. Over the next few days, I rewatched the Netflix documentary with these insights, and it certainly casts their story in a different light. The documentary shows Casey and Vicky's escape as a shocking love story, yet in these interviews, Casey presents it as much more, a plan born from desperation to expose corruption. Over the next calls with Casey, I wanted to uncover how much of Casey's story holds up against the documentary's version. What details did the film miss? What truth does Casey feel still needs to be heard?
I have some notes here that I took because I actually went back and watched the Netflix again because I wanted to make sure that in the Netflix show, they didn't really talk about how your whole situation where you're trying to avoid being killed at another prison. And you know that, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the sole purpose of you being moved over there, claiming that you killed this person just to get out of your situation. And then when Vicky comes around or you come together, she hears about your situation, y'all end up falling in love, and then y'all end up escaping because both y'all are in love and she's trying to get you out of the unjust situation you're in.
Yeah.
So how come on none of the phone calls do I like, because they air a lot of phone calls on Netflix, how come on the phone calls you don't hear about your charges that you're talking about, the murder charges and all that? Is it just because Netflix didn't play it or because y'all didn't talk about it?
No, I believe that swept up under the rug there just to keep the world on what Largo County was doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think everybody knows that there's definitely, corruption, everywhere. It's not, that's kind of why I do what I do because, I know that people in prison lie too, but we also know now that government, politicians, police officers, everybody's caught lying these days. So I wouldn't be surprised if everything you're saying is 100% accurate, and it very well may be. So now you're in a situation where you're trying to plan to get out of there. Do you think that it was really possible for y'all to really get away all the way scot-free and just for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I thought we really would. I mean, we had the cash money. We knew we was going to have a big head start. But
Yeah.
at the same time, all we needed was some IDs, and that's something we didn't have.
Yeah.
That was a big problem right there.
One of the things that they mentioned in the Netflix too is the color of the car that she got, that you probably flipped out when you saw that bright orange color car that she actually got for the runaway. What do you think?
Yeah, as soon as I seen that, I'm like, yeah, this car's standing all the way out. I know we're going to switch that out as soon as we got somewhere out of Largo County. So we across the Tennessee state line, and as soon as I seen 3 trucks sitting down the guys for sale, I whipped right in there and bought one of them.
Yeah, and one of the other things that's kind of interesting is not only were y'all escaping and all that, but she also had weapons and stuff that she brought along.
Yeah, we had a AR-15, and she bought me a new Glock 45.
Yeah.
And she had 2 9mm.
Yeah, and they mentioned that. I just want to make sure that's kind of accurate. But about how long through y'all's relationship did y'all discuss like that's it, we're gonna go ahead and escape? How long did it take?
It wasn't long, a couple months. Whenever I come back the second time to Largo County, I was getting ready for a trial. We already knew what we was going to do, but my lawyers and stuff just verified it because she was standing in the courtroom. It was like, how did Casey White's case work out? It was like, well, we ain't doing it, but it's not going to work out too good for him. She come back and she said, you're not going to win this. And they're going to find guilty right here. As soon as they see your priors and everything else, they automatically going to say you've done it.
Yeah. So did you tell any of your cellmates, hey, this is what I'm doing?
No, nobody. No,
but but they had suspicions though.
Yeah, they all had their suspicions and stuff. They knew something was going on. They just didn't know what.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So you also were getting high in jail, and Vicky wouldn't like that. She was not the one that brought it to you.
No, I wasn't getting high in jail. I was straight right there when I was in jail. I had my weight back up. I was doing good.
Did y'all kind of decide on your own, without, obviously the legal system, that you guys were husband and wife?
Yeah.
Because I noticed when you got out, you said, how's my wife? Asking about your wife, is she still alive and things like that.
Yeah. We told one that we got married and everything else is in our own laws, and we was having sex inside the jail. Oh yeah. How often did you do that?
Once,
twice a week. It was a small dorm. It wasn't but 7 or 8 people in there, and they'd all go out on yard call, and then she'd come in there.
But you know what? My very first episode with Kevin Myers, he had a relationship with a guard, and they did the same exact thing. When they would call out lunch, he'd stay behind, and she'd make her rounds, and they would duck off like that.
Yeah, that's what I done. I played poker a lot. I was pretty good at it, and I'd always win. And then I'd turn around and give them some items, stuff to go back outside on yard call and stay for the hour, and then she'd come in there.
Yeah. That was probably pretty exciting for you, and probably her, too.
Yeah, I thought I was King Kong, man.
Did she think that she would get away with everything, or did she say this is never going to work, but I'll do it, kind of thing?
We never did say none of that. The only regrets we had was for both our families was going to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
The whole world know everything about that. So those only regrets we had was about her family and about my family. And,
what were some of the things that she brought along? Yeah, besides the guns and all that.
She had me all new clothes. We had camping gear, plenty of canned food and stuff. That's where we should have went. We should have went to the woods, but I knew that it'd be rough on her and stuff. I grew up in the woods and stuff. I know it was going to be really hard on her. I truly just didn't think nobody's going to find us, because I think that cops pretty much don't ever solve cases unless they got a snitch right there. Just like the guy at the Indiana car wash that said that was the truck that NBC was in. The cop was like, no, it's not. It's a good tag. If that guy from the car wash owner wouldn't have just kept on and on about it, we'd have got away scotch-free right there again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, because you're kind of leaving everything.
Yeah, because we're both grown. We both know what we're doing. We both know what we're going to do whenever, if they call us in the act of leaving that jail, we know what we're going to have.
Yeah. What were y'all doing in the hotel room?
We got there. I went straight in, took a shower. We had ordered some Pizza Hut, had a Skull beer, sat around and eat some pizza and drank, talk, had a good time.
Did y'all feel paranoid the whole time?
No, I wasn't paranoid. I knew they weren't going to find us right there that quick, right off the rip. As soon as we got in Kentucky and I rented the room right there, as soon as I got in and rented the room, I knew it was all right for a couple of nights right there.
What did y'all leave for?
Just going on further.
Oh, y'all were actually packing up to go?
Yeah.
How soon did you notice that somebody was, like, watching you? Whenever you came out of the hotel, they started chasing you. It was pretty much right away?
Yeah, as soon as we come out of the motel right there, and I put the car in reverse, backed out, and I seen a black Dodge truck parked about 100 yards away at a closed down restaurant or something. I seen him put his truck in gear. Then I seen another Dodge truck right across from him, put his truck in gear. I sat down, and got it down, set up right here. We pulled to a red light, and as soon as I turned right, they turned the blue lights on. Started ramming, spread off the damn rip. They didn't give us a chance for nothing. They just started ramming.
Did you know she called 911 on accident?
Yeah, I know she called 911. We was trying to buy some time, because the hell, was, like I said, there's damn ramming and knocking the car 10 feet at a time.
So she actually dialed it?
Yeah.
Why? What's the purpose of calling 911?
We're just gonna try to buy some time right there. We're just gonna tell them where we was. We're just gonna try to.
Oh, like. For a minute. Oh, I got you. Like kind of like standoff almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do that and have a thing.
Yeah.
But which I wish they had just come on in the motel that night, because it's probably all been over with by then. But
you think they would
get something open door for me?
You think they would have shot you up if you went on and they went in a hotel?
Yeah, because they'd probably spooked me and I'd have probably shot.
Yeah. How come you didn't shoot him when they were in the car chase?
Well, I told him to shoot back towards the truck right there, and then I said, hell, they thought I got bulletproof glass. And I'm going I'm just going to drive as hard as I can right here and I don't get away.
Yeah.
And I thought I was. They had them trucks souped up. It was all over.
So that phone call that she made, or, the 911 call, it's pretty chilling. Have you ever heard it? Because, it's... Yeah, because it's just the last moments of her life and the whole situation. You could hear the excitement of driving fast and trying to get away, and it's like, all coming to an end, and then you hear the gunshot, which is, pretty deafening, Just, yeah.
Yeah, we was trying to buy some time right there whenever we called that. like I said, they started ramming us right off the rip. As soon as they put the blue lights on, they started ramming us.
Did she talk about how she would actually shoot it out with her colleagues?
No, she wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
We had a plan. If it did come down to it, she was wanting me to take her life and let the cops take mine if it did come down to it.
Well, what did you say to that? Like, because obviously you didn't agree to that, right?
Yeah, she knew I wasn't going to do it and stuff. That's why she went ahead and done it herself, I guess, so fast and so quick. As soon as marshals knocked us off in the ravine right there, and as soon as we wrecked, she pulled the trigger.
Yeah. Did you know she was going to kill herself?
I knew we weren't coming back until they wrecked us right there, and the damn marshal was down 5 foot from my face with that damn AR, and I couldn't just let him get off like that. I couldn't just let him shoot me in the face like that. But I knew Vicky, she couldn't go back in front of that county. So
you're not the one that shot her?
No.
There is like speculation about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I could have shot her with a gun in her hand and everything driving 100 miles an hour, ready to shoot
sure.
on top of me. And then the autopsy report saying that she committed suicide herself.
Yeah.
And they just charged me with her. Was going to charge me with her murder if they had found me.
Yeah, and that's actually, it's because I originally reached out to you thinking those charges were still existent, because the podcast only interviews people that are down for murder. But I did notice you actually had the felony murder because during a violent crime, I guess somebody dies, you get the felony murder, right?
Yeah.
And then you took a plea for just first degree prison escape or something like that?
Yeah, and I agreed to the escape. And they got me a life sentence on it, which was bull crap. They said it was enhanced because of my priors.
Yeah.
But I ain't had but one prior felony. So I don't know. It was before I had the 75 years.
What does that feel like escaping like that, with somebody that's an officer and 17 years on the, on the force or whatever? That's pretty big.
Yeah. And that's something everybody in the world was saying, that I manipulated Vicky and she put up love. No, Vicky was very strong-minded. Nobody could influence her. It was simple as she knew what was going on, and she knew I was telling her the truth about it all.
Actually, that does make a lot of sense, too, because everybody that they interviewed talk about how, strong she was, but also, the person that's strong needs somebody else to be strong for them, and she didn't have that. Maybe that's where you stepped in. I don't know. What's that?
Single for 20 years, didn't care nothing about Christmases or holidays.
Yeah.
She give out free vacation time to employees that had kids and stuff.
Yeah.
She was one of the best people in the world and stuff.
So they really weren't talking her up. She really was, this outstanding person. What do you say to the people that say that, yeah, you're not really in love with her, you just want it out of there?
Yeah, well, whenever somebody's been gone for 6 years and they never had no love or affection or a hug, or nobody cared what was done with them or nothing else, they was just throw it in here and throw it away. And then you got somebody coming up there giving you hugs and affection and caring about your situation and stuff, and just give you some genuine love right there, and then, yeah, you're going to fall in love.
The end of the Casey and Vicky White saga is incredibly tragic, and it is rightfully portrayed that way in the Netflix documentary. However, in revisiting the documentary after diving into these interviews with Casey, clear discrepancies start to emerge. The documentary painted Casey and Vicky's relationship as a sudden, almost sensational affair between a hardened criminal and an infatuated prison guard. However, Casey's recounting adds complexity, portraying their bond as something deeper than an impulsive fling, describing Vicky as his protector, someone who was willing to risk everything because she believed in his innocence and his need for escape. The documentary glosses over Casey's claims about the violence he faced in prison and his allegations that he falsely confessed to Connie Ridgway's murder in a bid to save himself from what he describes as prison politics and life-threatening conditions. While Netflix highlights their dramatic escape and the shocking romance, it misses his insistence that the escape was as much about survival as it was about freedom. It also fails to touch upon the fear and desperation that led him to orchestrate a confession just to be moved to a different facility. This omission leaves out a significant dimension of Casey's narrative, one where he was willing to go to extreme lengths not to gain freedom, but to stay alive. This brings us to the tragic ending that the documentary does cover, the chaotic, heart-wrenching conclusion to their escape. The tragedy of Vicky White's death is a stark and haunting reminder of the price they both paid. Casey recalls her final moments, describing her decision to end her life to avoid the disgrace of returning to her former position as an inmate, not an officer. The rawness of Vicky's final moments, her voice filled with fear and the sounds of the fatal shot, reveal just how irreversible their choices had become in those last seconds can be heard in this news coverage from the time.
And new information tonight on that Alabama escape. Casey White and Vicky White led authorities on a chase that ended abruptly in a crash, leaving Vicky shot with a gunshot wound and Casey with minor injuries. The newly released 911 call made by Vicky White reveals the tense moments as the two tried to escape during the pursuit. But we want to warn you, these images are disturbing. As police pursued Alabama fugitive Casey White and former corrections officer Vicky White, a call from inside the getaway vehicle was made.
Be advised he's possibly calling in 911.
Vicky's voice can be heard seemingly pleading with Casey in the moments before a police vehicle rams the side of their car.
Stop. Please stop. They're going to everybody's going to walk and kill us. He's crashed out, still inside the vehicle. Be advised, the female did call in. We could hear her on the line saying she had her finger on the trigger.
Vicky can be heard attempting to make yet another escape.
Airbags are going on. Let's get out. Run. Get us back to the hotel.
The female's the one that shot herself.
Dashcam video captured the moment at least 6 officers handcuffed the 6'9", 330-pound suspect. Despite police confirming the two were not married, you can hear Casey say, "That's my wife. Please get to my wife." Others look to render aid to Vicky, but her hand is still on the trigger.
Hey, we need medic here. She's still breathing.
She's got her finger on the trigger. Finger is on the trigger. In her right hand. I can't even tell if she's conscious. She doesn't look conscious. She could pull that trigger again.
Okay, I'm going to go for the gun.
Watch it. Gun out of his hand. Gun out of his hand.
All right, pull me out. All right, I got it.
Vicky White died from her injuries at an Evansville hospital Monday evening. The coroner ruled the manner of death suicide.
After the break, Casey reveals the truth behind the Netflix documentary and the truth behind his case.
I want the whole world to see this because Netflix fucked me over. That's why I don't trust you. And I don't trust the other guy that just sent me a message. He wants me to do a video for $300, but he won't give me half the money up front. I got about 1 million messages on my tablet now from everybody wanting to do interviews and everybody wanting to do this. I don't trust nobody because Netflix just screwed me over. Because Netflix was sending me money and doing everything. But as soon as they get their interviews, they won't even fucking put me $50 on my books so I can catch them store or nothing. And they just become millionaires off this shit.
Well, here, let me.
Become millionaires. And nothing ever happened except for me and Vicky White. Still just the two. And what Judge Medley said, I hope Vicky White is not remembered for the one mistake because Vicky White's one of the best people I've ever known in my life. And I hate a cop. I hate a cop all the way to the fullest. I don't care if it's the good or the bad because the whole system is crooks.
Yeah.
When they're going to kill an innocent man, they're going to kill me just because I had 75 years. They consider me a throwaway. So they're just going to dispose of the body.
Yeah.
And I know the crooks and I know the system.
Yeah, well, I got to.
And you know they crooks. You know it's all about the money. And it's all crooks. And it's all about the money and keeping the world turning around. They said, now, this is what you do. You never get in trouble. You go by the rules. And you never get in trouble when you ain't got to go up there and deal with their asses. And that's what I wouldn't listen to. If I'd have listened to that, I wouldn't have had to go up there and deal with them.
Sure. Well,
I'm accepting responsibility. Don't think I'm not. I accept my responsibility, but I want the whole world to know what kind of fucking crooks they got standing here.
Well, they're gonna hear now, so I definitely
the public puts them into office.
Yeah.
And the public, just like Judge, the next judge that got arrested. Now he spent all this money for all the whiskey and all the beers, and he was right there in Lauderdale County with them. Just like the judge that took my case, Vicky said he's as cocaine headed as he is.
I want to make sure the listeners understand so you can get your word out.
I mean, well, they're doing it completely wrong because they know the truth. They know for facts you didn't do it. Whenever I was talking to the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, I trusted this man. I know this man. He's different. I'm different. I'm an outlaw. They're the cops. They're supposed to be trusted, and whatever they say is supposed to be 100% true to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That stinks because they're dealing with people's lives and freedom.
Yeah.
They can't. Other jobs, you can have a mistake or a mess up. This job, you cost a mistake or a mess up, you cost lives. Hey, Chris Conley, this is what I want from you right here. I'll work with you right here, Toby. If you'll help me get the whole thing out of the world, I want the whole world to know what kind of crook Chris Conley is. Lauderdale County.
Who is that?
He's been there for 30. Chris Conley. He's been there for 30 years on district attorney. Guess what? You know how the whole thing started? It was a little young guy in there, Travis Coleman. He was in there for assault. Beat his girlfriend up, swelled her head up big as a basketball. We had a fight that night in the pod. Our glass got broke out. There was a big piece of glass in the pod. He wanted me to stab him with it. I said, no, you're both stupid. I'm not stabbing you.
Who wanted to stab? Wait. We got to know. Who wanted to stab who?
Was it Coleman?
He wanted you to stab who?
Yeah, boy, he thought he could get out of jail. He ain't never been in jail. He was green and young. And he should have went to prison because that's what I went to prison for my first time. I went to prison for second-degree assault for whooping a half-brother. So one day he go for whooping his girlfriend because he went up to the district attorney and told him I was going to kidnap Vicky White and take her hostage and leave that jail. Now, he went up there and told the district attorney and them this. Now, did they do any question, any investigation or anything? Hell no, because Casey White's waiting on a capital murder case. Now, he got 75 years. We're going to automatically assume he's planning on taking Vicky White hostage and escaping from this jail. So they go up yonder, they come down there and shake me down. They find a knife that Travis Coleman hid. They give Travis Coleman an ankle monitor for 6 months. You know what he does fucking 3 months later? He goes, gets high in the van, and kills his 15-month-old girlfriend's son in a van. I hold Chris Conley, Lauderdale County District Attorney, responsible for that death.
Let me.
I hold him responsible for Vicky White's death. He wanted to charge me with murder on Vicky White. I want to charge him with murder on Vicky White because if he would have done his investigation and done his damn detail and looked into the cases instead of just damn trying to solve a cold case on County Ridgeway, and he just dug into it, he didn't know that I was shooting him full of bullshit. So he just damn got a 15-month-old baby killed, County Ridgeway killed, and a bigger mess than the whole thing. All this shit because he didn't do no digging into it. The investigators didn't do no digging into it. All they heard was saying, I've done it, and they didn't do shit. Now, man, it's already got 75 years in prison. You ain't heard from him in 5 years, and then all of a sudden, he gets stabs 2 up, and all of a sudden, he's going to plead guilty to it. Oh. And now, all of a sudden, y'all are the crooks of the system is they're supposed to be better than the outlaws. We're supposed to lie, cheat, steal, do whatever we got to do to get by with it. They're supposed to be honest, productive members of society, but they're not. Vicky White was because she knew they was going to kill me and put me on death row for something that I was totally innocent on.
Casey White's perspective paints a harrowing picture of betrayal and desperation, where he feels the justice system, led by figures like District Attorney Chris Connolly, has worked not to uncover truth, but to secure convictions at any cost. Casey blames Connolly not only for the charges against him, but also for the sequence of tragedies that followed, including the deaths of Vicky White and even the young child killed by a man Casey claims should have been in jail. To Casey, it's not just his life on the line. He believes the system has repeatedly failed, prioritizing quick solutions over fair investigations and, in his words, causing lives to be lost in the crossfire. For him, this is not just about one man's guilt or innocence, but about a fundamentally broken system. As Casey tells it, his escape with Vicky wasn't just an attempt to gain freedom. It was a desperate reaction to survive within a system he believes betrayed him. Vicky White's compassion, in Casey's view, came from recognizing that his pleas weren't lies, and that the legal machinery around him was set to grind him down, regardless of whether he was guilty. He speaks with admiration and sadness for Vicky, a woman who believed his story and paid the ultimate price for helping him escape. Their bond, he argues, was one rooted in shared understanding, not manipulation as portrayed by media and the Netflix documentary. In reflecting on these conversations, I find myself scrolling on my phone late into the night, piecing together Casey's story with a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. A few videos catch my eye, brief, grainy clips of Casey being interviewed by another inmate shared on TikTok. He's gaunt, his face drawn, and his demeanor somehow more subdued than in our recent calls. Has the toll of Vicky's death, the failed escape, and his anger toward the system worn him down? Or is he simply retreating into a quieter fight, biding his time? Before ending this call, I want to dig deeper and ask what lies ahead for him. What happens to a man who feels he's told the truth, yet no one believes it? And how much longer can he keep going? And what was his message for the others in this tragic tale?
Also, I actually saw you on a TikTok in your cell. Some guy, I don't know if he told you, I made a comment saying that I'd reached out to you, but on the TikTok, he's basically interviewing you and you're talking about how you were in love with her and stuff like that. He's almost interviewing you. And in that video, you're extremely, extremely skinny. What happened to you?
Stayed back 2 years in lockup, and they were coming out of 7. You couldn't catch store but once a month, so you ain't eating nothing but 2 and 3 trays a day.
Yeah.
You couldn't catch nothing, we couldn't catch snacks and nothing but once a month, and you couldn't catch it for $75. And I just stayed back there and wasn't working out, wasn't doing nothing. I didn't eat half the nasty food, so I just shrunk up.
Yeah, the comparison is like, it's huge. I mean, I was like, wow, is he sick? I mean, are they, starving him? I was like, Jesus Christ, he's really, really skinny. It was,
I seen the pictures of the day, and that made me cry right there whenever I see the pictures of me and stuff, and how small I done got.
Yeah. So whenever you got all this ended and you got caught, they put you in the hole for years, didn't they?
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yeah, and that's basically like in the hole. It's like you don't get to do nothing.
No, it's 24-hour day lockdown. I come out 3 times a week for a shower, and that's it.
Yeah, for 2 years. Wow.
Yep,
so
2 years.
Yeah, and your cellie that you had, he believed that it was true love. I think he kind of knew you personally and was right there, probably watching it all go down.
True.
Yeah, they interviewed him on the Netflix. He was the one that was a corrections officer and then, had some issues, went to jail.
Oh, yeah, Tyler, for sure.
Yeah. So, what would you say to the family of Connie Ridgway if they were listening? What would you say to them?
I don't really want to comment on that.
Okay.
She's in my heart and my feelings, though.
Okay. What would you say?
I wish I could bring the true killer to justice because she is in my heart after I've seen the motion of discovery and stuff. So.
Do you know who the killer is?
No, I do not. But I had some suspects after looking at the motion of discovery, but that was just my personal opinion.
Would you help them out, maybe write a letter and say, hey, here's who I think this is?
I didn't say that. I mean, if they can't look at it themselves right there and figure it out, then I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, I guess you're not pretty, not wanting to help the system too much after what happened. What would you say to the system? What would you say to the DA or Chris Connolly? What do you want to say to them?
Everybody makes mistakes all the way around the board, but their jobs, they can afford mistakes because it's going to cost lives when you do. And they made plenty of mistakes on their behalf, and it might have been for my behalf because I'm not accepting responsibility. But now they need to accept theirs too. There's plenty of people all over the board. They should have done more investigation instead of trying to close a cold case. Vicky White would still be alive. His 10-month-old baby would still be alive. There's several things. Just because I already had a 85-year sentence, they let somebody throw soft on my name at this Lauderdale County Jail. Got him 6 months on an ankle monitor without doing any investigation. And said I was trying to escape and take Vicky White. And that's where the whole thing really truly started right there. Whenever I told her all about that, and I said, look here, they're not going to let me win for nothing. And they know I didn't do it.
And what?
They know I wrote the letter. That's all I done.
What about Vicky's loved ones? What would you say to them?
Just that I'm sorry for the way things turned out.
Yeah. Well, Casey, I appreciate you opening up to me. I think you can want to get out of jail and still be in love with somebody. So you're 75 years, I don't know when your parole date is. That is a lot of years. It is. I've seen so many different scenarios where people have done way worse and got less and vice versa. And you probably see it coming through the prisons all the time where somebody did this heinous crime and they got way less than you. So it probably becomes personal when somebody throws 75 years at you when you see the stuff around you, I would assume.
Yeah, and charges with attempted murder and 2 first-degree kidnappings. I thought attempted murder would be when somebody actually got hurt or went to the hospital. I didn't think attempted murder would be 5 or 6 holes in the sheetrock above somebody's head. I didn't think that'd be attempted murder. And pointing a gun at 2 people in a bed for 2 seconds, I don't think that's a 2-person kidnapping. But they said I don't want to do because it's my statement after I got back to the jail. The investigator said my statement, "You went there to kill it, did you?" I said, "Yeah, I went there to kill it."
Well, here's what I'll tell you. If you did all that in Missouri, even if you had a clean record and never did anything wrong in your life, you're doing 30 years here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get sentenced to life, maybe more with the. You're gonna get armed criminal action, which is a minimum of 4 stacked on it. They would lay it on you over here. I'm pretty sure. But I have seen where, at the same time, like I was telling you, where people did all kinds of crazy stuff and got lighter sentence, including death.
Yeah, I know there was 3 of them out there in Lauderdale County that went back to back plea deals on murder cases and got 20 years. Yeah.
Well, Casey, I appreciate you opening up. Like I said, I hope everything works out for you. I hope you gain some weight back, because that really was difficult looking at you in that video. But anyway.
I'll just send me a message if you need anything else.
Yeah, I may come up with something, actually, so I appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything, okay?
All right, I appreciate you.
All right, man. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you, Joe.
All right, man. See you.
The caller has hung up.
I want to thank Casey for sharing his story with us today. His ability to be open and honest is what makes this podcast so special. That's a wrap on this episode of Voices of a Killer. A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.